Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good right now.
Was there anything about your opponent that surprised you? I know you weren't in there very long, but did you kind of anticipate that kind of a fight with him?
I anticipated like kind of a, I don't mean this like disrespectfully, but like a harder fight. But it just proves I've trained really hard for this, and I deserve it, and I'm a top prospect in this division.
When you say you expected a harder fight, can you kind of elaborate a little bit more about what you kind of expected there?
I pictured a 3-round war, to be honest, with Brian.
Were you a little? This is going to sound like a weird question. I'm sure you're not disappointed that it didn't go 3 rounds, but is there any part of you that kind of wanted to see that 3-round war? No.
No, definitely not. Because you don't want to be in there with Brian all 3 rounds, because he has power all the way through. So you don't want to be messing around there. So I set my pace right away, and he just couldn't keep up with me.
And you mentioned potentially wanting to fight one of the winners of the other fights on this card. Is there somebody out of that group that you would prefer to fight over?
It's a toss-up between all of them. I really don't know who's going to win. So out of the winners, since we just fought on the same night, I'm sure we'd be ready around the same time, at least before the end of the year. So that's why I asked for one of those guys.
Do you have a preference on when you fight again, or even maybe a venue now that they're going back out on the road?
I think either one of those guys, either Paiva or I like Nurmagomedov just because of the last name. I would like that win for sure.
Sounds like your coach is saying 2 weeks. He wants you back in there.
Oh, Bulldog over there. Yeah, he wants me to take on Cody, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel, and that's a fight that's pretty far up there. So we'll see what the UFC says.
When you're thinking about an upcoming fight, does the venue or the city play into that decision, especially now that they're going back out on the road and there's some pretty exciting places out there?
Yeah, I think fighting here 3 times in a row, and then I went to the UFC Phoenix and just watching those fights and seeing the crowd, it really did make me miss it. I didn't think I would as much because fighting's fighting, you don't pay attention to it, but there is a certain energy to it, and I do miss it.
Thank you.
Hey Mario, Battleborn, where did that come from?
I'm from Nevada originally, and that's the state motto. I'm 7 hours north of here, a small town called Winnemucca, a small little mining town. So I always love to represent, where I'm from.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And finally for me, teammate Sean O'Malley's coming fight you next week. I just want to know your thoughts on that matchup.
Oh, I think he's going to smoke him. Really? And Jared Cannonier is going to win that belt too.
Awesome. Thank you.
I can't remember if you actually said when you first talked to her, what was the actual game plan that you had for Brian when you were coming in? What were you expecting that you were going to have to do?
Not to be lazy with anything. Like I said, he has power, and if you get lazy, he could finish the fight, in any round. Avoid the guillotine, and set a high pace right away. Because with anyone, the first round might be close, but I feel if I go 3 rounds with anyone, 2 and 3 are for sure mine.
Well, I have to ask you about that rear naked choke. I mean, how strong that actually is, because once you locked it in, it looked like it was so tight that he was trying to tap on both your legs. It looked like that he tried tapping on one side, then maybe tapped on the other. I don't know if you could tell if he did tap on both sides, but how strong is that rear naked choke of yours?
I guess pretty strong. I felt pretty bad that he was tapping, and that was Herb Dean's fault,
So you could feel him on both sides trying to...
I could see, underneath he was tapping my legs, and I was, looking up at Herb, and he didn't see it, and he tapped again, and I was like, man, Herb Dean, you need to jump on this quick, brother.
Yeah, because that's one of those things, you don't want to let go because you want to make sure that the ref acknowledges it, but there's probably that side of you where you're like, man, I'm just doing damage that doesn't need to happen.
Like I said, I felt bad, but I'm going to hold on to it until the ref stops it.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, obviously everything looked like it played out perfectly that you wanted it to, but when you have such a dominant fighter, there's still things that you see in that you want to go back to the training right after? And is there anything that you feel like you needed to work on that didn't go your way? I mean, it looked pretty flawless, but, there's always something.
There's always, little things, I thought I did a pretty good job with the guillotine. He's really good at that. He got me on the lips with that front kick, because I was staying still and I wasn't supposed to. So little things like that. It's always, easy to go back and fix it up. But I'm going to continue to improve everywhere. So, yeah.
And like you said, this was one of the biggest fights that you've taken. Is this good to put this feather in your cap? I mean, what does this win mean for you, and I guess in your career, and how you've progressed in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it shows that I am progressing, and it is the biggest fight, of my career. I think he's had like 15 UFC fights, and yeah, I mean, it just shows that I'm continuing to improve and climb up the ladder.
That's awesome. Congrats on the victory.
Thank you.